Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar.
I'm Shivan Chandna. Lots lined up for you on World DNA. US President Donald Trump has set a new deadline of Tuesday evening for the Iran talks, and this is, of course, to achieve a deal. And this is after he made an expletive-filled threat on Sunday to destroy Iran's vital civilian infrastructure, demanding Tehran bow to his demands for a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and end the war. We'll be tracking the developments from there.
And that's not the only war zone. We have Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, of course, Russia and Ukraine. Now, Zelensky has met Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara in Damascus, seeking defense deals amid West Asia tensions. Ukraine is facing relentless Russian strikes and it urgently needs Patriot air defense system supplies and fears shortages as this global conflict intensifies. We'll get you all the details on that as well. Let's begin with the headlines.
Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf warns that West Asia is going to burn as he accuses US President Donald Trump of following Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's commands.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says he congratulated U.S. President Donald Trump in a phone call for his decision to launch a rescue operation to save a downed U.S. airman in Iran.
Iran's Revolutionary Guards say the Strait of Hormuz would never return to its former state as US President Trump's deadline looms.
Kuwait's army says its air defenses are working to intercept missiles and drones fired towards the Gulf nation's territory.
Israeli firefighters search for missing people in the rubble of a residential building in Haifa after it was struck by an Iranian missile.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar receives call from Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi amid escalating tensions between Iran and the U.S. Both leaders discuss bilateral relations, regional and international developments.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung expresses regret to North Korea over a drone incursion that he said was carried out by a South Korean individual without government approval. Stresses Seoul's commitment to preventing future incidents.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky meets Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara after arriving in Damascus alongside Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan.
A few eggs around the cabin. They were the dehydrated scrambled egg variety, but we're all pretty happy with them.
As Artemis 2 enters the fifth day of its mission, the crew sends Easter greetings to Earth.
OPEC Plus agrees to raise oil output by 206,000 barrels per day in May, aiming to support supply stability. The decision comes amid conflict disruptions in West Asia, with members stressing the need to protect energy routes and warning that infrastructure damage limits recovery. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf, has warned that the entire region is going to burn as he accused Donald Trump of following Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's commands.
Well, this is in a post on social media. Ghalibaf said that the only solution was to respect the rights of the Iranian people and end this dangerous game. His tweet came after Trump's Truth Social post in which he warned Iran that Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped in one. In Iran, if the country does not make a deal or open the Strait of Hormuz, he appeared to extend that the last 48 hours of that 10-day deadline to 8 p.m. Tuesday Eastern Time, soon after through a cryptic post on social media.
Now, even as the deadline looms, Iran's Revolutionary Guards has cleared that the Strait of Hormuz would never return to its former state. It warned that the U.S. and Israel of what it described as a new security order emerging in the Persian Gulf.
Well, Iran has vowed retaliation to any act of aggression. Iranian Foreign Ministry said that the country's armed forces are prepared to target U.S.-linked assets.
Our armed forces would target any similar infrastructure that is owned or in any way or manner related to the United States or contributes to their act of aggression against Iran. This is not something that we will do it voluntarily or by willful decision. This is something that is as part of our defense measures against their illegal act.
Iran attacked infrastructure across the Gulf again on Sunday, with damage reported at civilian facilities in Bahrain, Kuwait, and UAE. UAE authorities in Sharjah said they were dealing with an incident in the key port of Khor Fakkan following an Iranian strike.
UAE presidential advisor Anwar Gargash warned Iran that targeting its Arab neighbors will actually concretize the American role, adding the UAE was ready to join any American-led international effort to secure navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. All right, to discuss this further with us, we're now being joined live by James A. Russell from Monterey, California, Associate Professor in the Department of National Security Affairs at NPS. Professor Russell, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for making time for us. Let's quickly come to these calls that have again emerged to invoke the 25th Amendment and impeach Donald Trump. And this is quickly after that post that came from him, that abusive post on Easter evening. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. There are, of course, a large number of Democratic leaders and congressmen who are calling for the impeachment for the 25th Amendment. Is that really possible? Is that a sentiment which is resonating among the MAGA base or the Republican base as well, or this is a typical opposition going up against the ruling party?
I don't think it's a typical step or a typical thing that's happening in American politics today. I think the reaction of the Democrats reflects the quite understandable reaction to this release of this epithet-laden communication by the president to a foreign country with whom we are at war. It's unprecedented in the history of modern statecraft to see any leader of a foreign country speaking like this, and speaks to the fact that he's mentally unhinged, which really, and this is not something that one can state lightly. I mean, I ask your own viewers to imagine themselves if your own prime minister was using this kind of language in a public communication with Pakistan or some other regional country. You'd be appalled. You would all be in revulsion to this level, these kinds of communications, which have no place in diplomatic discourse whatsoever. So the Democrats, I think, are searching for answers here. And the regrettable circumstance that the United States finds itself in today is that the Republicans are completely complicit with President Trump, and they offer no, and I repeat, no effective opposition to him. And so the world sits on the precipice today, as your excellent report indicates, of further escalation in this war by a president who does not appear to be rational.
Understood. Understood.
I don't know
because
any other way to say it. Yeah.
Right, and of course now we're looking at what the actions would be like. So if at all, if of course normally what he's done, he's extended the deadline. If at all, if US goes and attacks this infrastructure in Iran, and do you think it's possible that they will be able to finish this goal? Because of course it's going to be an escalation. How confident is US, and what are the possible outcomes of this escalation that could happen if at all Iran, of course, does not look ready to come and sit back on the table, and they have threatened to attack the region, not just US facilities now, but now the entire region?
It's important to note that I think in these kinds of situations, one wants to know that our diplomats are speaking with each other, and that the Pakistanis, for example, have made their good offices available, as have the Omanis repeatedly, the Turks, to try to facilitate some kind of regional dialogue. And the United States has shown absolutely no interest in resolving this kind of confrontation using diplomatic means. And so we are looking at the prospect of further military escalation by the United States as outlined by President Trump, and I fully expect that he is going to do it. I don't think his administration has a shred of interest in a political solution to this problem. And this raises the prospect, of course, of even further escalation. Every time in this conflict, the United States has attacked and the Israelis have attacked, the Iranians have responded in kind. They have said this is their intention to respond in kind. And I think we have to take them at their word. So if the United States chooses, along with the Israelis, of course, to expand the kinds of targets, which, by the way, are considered to be war crimes. We should all be clear about this. The United States and the Israelis are today marching in lockstep as rogue states, as war criminals. The Iranians are going to respond in kind. And this raises the prospect of, I don't like to speak in these terms, but an apocalyptic scenario of violence in which the Iranians will respond against the infrastructure of energy in the Gulf, that respond against desalination plants. And this will send the whole world economy into a tailspin. Can any of us sitting here imagine, and I hope this doesn't happen, but if the Saudi export terminal at Ras Tanur is hit with a serious fusillade of attacks, and the fate of the world economy is hanging on this kind of situation, which raises the prospect, of course, and I think all your viewers should understand all this, of a world war. This is a global action that's going on here.
Professor, that's a question we've raised a number of times, trying to understand from our guests and, of course, analysts. Is this heading in that direction? Because economically, in financial terms, the effects are already being felt of a conflict which is affecting the entire world. Even though all players aren't getting involved on the battlefield, the impacts are being felt far and wide. And let me now quickly come back to the Strait of Hormuz, which seems to be at the core of this entire conflict. It was just last week or just a few days ago when we heard from the White House that it is not our core objective. Donald Trump mentioned it himself, that we can exit, we can leave the war, we've got what we wanted. Achieving or making sure that the Strait of Hormuz is open is not part of our agenda, and now the threats are again targeted towards opening up the Strait of Hormuz. Why are we back towards the Strait of Hormuz? Is that a symbolic win that the US needs at this point, or is that in a way affecting the US as well, so it must be opened up and get out and be released from Iran's clutch?
Well, you are of course asking the question that all of us are asking, which is that are we dealing with a rational decision-making process in the United States today, which, as you quite correctly note, several days ago, President Trump asserted that the opening of the strait was somebody else's problem. And he's been complaining, of course, about the Europeans not helping him out. And yet here we sit on a deadline, which he says now the Strait of Hormuz is America's principal objective. And I don't know how any of us are supposed to regard this, these expressions of views with any kind of logical consistency, because they're not logically consistent. So
Professor, I'm coming in there because this is a sense I've got from a lot of our American guests, because we pose the questions and then the sense I get is that everyone seems to be as confused about what really, because of the divergence in the statements, not because of any other personal commitment to or personal thoughts on what they may feel about the current leadership. But stay with us. Let me quickly go over to a breaking development that's coming in, and we'll come back to Professor Russell.
We have some breaking news coming in. Iran's Central Military Command has warned of much more devastating retaliation, and that is if its U.S. and Israel hit civilian targets.
Well, a spokesperson for the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters said in a statement posted by state broadcaster IRIB on Telegram, and I'm quoting him here, if attacks on civilian targets are repeated, the next stages of our offensive and retaliatory operations will be much more devastating and widespread. The warning has come after Trump threatened to destroy Iran's civilian infrastructure, demanding Tehran bow to his demands for a deal to open the Strait of Hormuz.
Now, of course, this breaking news now coming from Iran's Central Military Command, who has now warned of much more devastating retaliation if its U.S. and Israel hit civilian targets. Professor Russell, I'd like to come to, with this breaking news coming in, of course, we have seen Iran retaliate. Of course, they've said that they have rejected and they have warned of devastation in the region. Of course, this indicates retaliation, and the deadline, clearly, it indicates that, of course, this deadline that has been set by Trump, they will not be following it. It looks like it's now an escalation. Now, earlier, we also had the UAE with the comments coming from, now this is one of the Gulf states who have now said that they have warned Iran targeting its Arab neighbors, and they said, and I'm just quoting here, will actually concretize the American role. We have first comment coming from the UAE, who has now said that, listen, Iran, we are not going to escalate this, because now they will be taking part with international parties to open this Strait of Hormuz, and of course will retaliate.
This is the situation I think that we find ourselves in today, in which, again, the United States seems to believe that a few more bombs, a few more attacks, hitting a few more targets is somehow going to solve the political problems that it faces. And this is, I can't tell you how misguided this is. And there's no chance that bombing more targets is going to somehow make the Iranians more amenable to some kind of political solution. And as I said, I get back to this point about President Trump simply not understanding the dynamics of statecraft. I get back to, again, the situation your country found itself in with Pakistan 6, 7, 8 months ago, whenever it was, when they, very tense relations. And adults stepped in and de-escalated and tried to have a political solution. And the United States today has none of these things on the table right now with Iran, and it's very, very scary. The world, and we should also, and I don't mean to be alarmist here, but the United States and Israel are both nuclear-armed states, and Iran is not a nuclear-armed state. And this is another dimension of this conflict, which is extremely disturbing. As we continue up this escalation ladder, we get closer and closer to the prospect of nuclear weapons being used by various of the parties. And this is something that is of global significance, and we should all, as human beings and as humanity, be seeking to prevent this from happening. And we have a president in the United States right now who is not amenable to any kind of reasonable dialogue, which it's a sad day for the United States and for the international community. I don't know how else to put it.
But then now, when we look at these escalations happening, do you think, okay, let's look at what Iran has right now. Of course, most of their military targets are eliminated. And then when we look at, the ones that are left are underground. Realistically, if at all, U.S. goes and targets is this infrastructure, what does it mean for Iran? And does it actually have anything left to actually retaliate? Of course, we've seen retaliation and they are warned of it, but realistically, are they capable of defending themselves against U.S. at this moment?
Yeah, so of course, I don't know about the inventories of Iranian weapons at this stage of the game, and I'm not sure anyone really does except the Iranians. I would only say that they have responded in kind. Every time the United States has chosen to expand the list of targets, and we should be clear here that striking civilian targets in a war like this is a war crime, and there isn't any other way to say it. The United States is establishing itself firmly with its ally in Israel as a terrorist state in striking these kinds of targets. If I had to predict what was going to happen, I would say that the Iranians are going to respond in kind. And one of the characteristics, a salient characteristic of this war since it has started, is that both of the Israelis and the United States have done what? They've underestimated the Iranians, and they've underestimated Iranian capabilities. The Iranians have buried their missile facilities deep, and they're firing out of concrete protected silos. I would not underestimate Iran's ability to inflict serious damage, not just on Iran and American military bases, but on the Gulf states going forward. And I think, again, the president seems to have no sort of a grasp of this fact. What would happen with the destruction of the energy infrastructure in the Gulf and the desalinization plants in the Gulf? I mean, this is a catastrophe for humanity. And this is what is awaiting us, and we do not have adults in charge in the United States. I don't think there's any question of that.
Professor Russell, as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned, it remains locked, and now there is more and more talk about the Bab al-Mandeb Strait also going into a similar lock, and that will only exacerbate, it will only increase the intensity with which the global shock is hitting countries around the world, because these are key waterways for oil to come into most parts of the eastern side, and eventually it will be affecting the western side as well, as it already is. Most countries are finding their own means of communication with Iran. Iran has in a way made it profitable for the western countries to be on talking terms with Iran and maintaining distance from the US by not getting involved in this war. Cracks have also emerged, fractures are emerging in the NATO fold, in fact, because with the statements that we're reading coming in from the White House. So there is a lot to unpack, and it keeps happening by the hour. The developments keep coming in, but as of now what we understand is Iran is firing across the Gulf nations. It is also firing towards Israel, and of course it is maintaining its fight regardless of how many hits it has already taken. It is still in the fight, and that says so much about how they were estimated by the Americans and perhaps also the Israelis. Professor Russell, thanks so much for joining us here on the broadcast. There will be more to discuss. Look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you.
All right, we'll step into a short break now. This is World DNA. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to discuss. Come right back.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. 5 states, 1 powerful voice. From Tamil Nadu to West Bengal, Kerala to Assam. Every vote shapes the future. Get the election pulse only on WION. Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Get the latest update.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. More than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power. Only on WION. World is one.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching World DNA with Jyotsna. I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines at this hour.
Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf warns that West Asia is going to burn as he accuses U.S. President Donald Trump of following Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's commands.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says he congratulated US President Trump in a phone call for his decision to launch a rescue operation to save a downed US airman in Iran.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard say the Strait of Hormuz would never return to its former state as U.S. President Donald Trump's deadline looms.
Air raid sirens sound across Tel Aviv and occupied West Bank as authorities warn residents of potential incoming threats.
Kuwait's army says its air defenses are working to intercept missiles and drones fired towards the Gulf nation's territory.
South Korean President Lee Jae-myung expresses regret to North Korea over a drone incursion that he said was carried out by a South Korean individual without government approval, stresses Seoul's commitment to preventing future incidents.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky meets Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara after arriving in Damascus alongside Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan.
Hide a few eggs around the cabin. They were the dehydrated scrambled egg variety, but we're all pretty happy with them.
As Artemis 2 enters the 5th day of its mission, the crew sends Easter greetings to Earth.
Asian stocks rise, led by Japan and South Korea, as investors react to Donald Trump's latest comments on the Iran war, with gains driven by shifting expectations around the conflict's direction. U.S. futures fell, reflecting concerns over conflict-driven supply disruptions and market volatility. And it's day 38 of the Israel-U.S. war with Iran, with Trump's warnings and Iran's rejection. Here are the latest that we bring for you that are developing on the ground.
Well, Trump has threatened to destroy all of Iran's power plants if they don't agree to open the Strait of Hormuz. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Trump said that Iran is going to lose every power plant and every other plant they have in the whole country. The U.S. president added that he will let the world know pretty soon when the war with Iran will come to an end.
And following U.S. President Trump's threats, Iran has vowed to strike back against any attacks on its infrastructure. In a statement, Iran's foreign ministry said that it would retaliate against any attacks, while warning that the country's armed forces are prepared to target any U.S.-linked assets in response to any act of aggression. Tehran further said that its reaction would be a reciprocating measure following recent threats against the country's bridges and power plants.
Then an Iranian minister lambasted US President Trump's warnings. Iran's culture minister has dismissed Trump's latest threats, calling him unstable and delusional. The culture minister in an interview said that Trump lacks personal behavior and verbal balance. He also added that the US president constantly shifts between contradictory positions.
Now, Iran has further said that the Hormuz Strait would never go back to normalcy. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Co., IRGC, said that the Strait of Hormuz would never return to its former state. It also warned that the United States and Israel of what is described as a new security order emerging in the Persian Gulf.
Israeli firefighters have been conducting search and rescue operations after an Iranian missile struck a residential building in northern Haifa. Authorities said that firefighters are searching for 3 missing people amidst the rubble.
A drone footage shows search and rescue operations after an Iranian projectile partially reduced a residential building into rubble at Haifa in northern Israel. And according to paramedics, 9 people have been wounded with shrapnel and other blast-related injuries. They also said that 1 elderly man has been seriously injured by a heavy object.
UAE said that it's neutralizing missile and drone threats in the region, and the country's National Emergency Crisis and Disaster Management Authority said that air defense systems in UAE are currently responding to a missile threat. It also urged citizens to remain in a safe location and follow official channels for warnings and updates.
And similarly in Kuwait, they have said that it is responding to missile and drone threats. In a statement, Kuwait's army said that its air defenses are intercepting hostile missile and drone attacks. The general staff of the army has also requested citizens to adhere to safety and security instructions.
Israel continues to strike Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Lebanese state media said that an Israeli strike targeted a residential building at a town located 18 kilometers east of the capital Beirut. The latest attack comes after the IDF reportedly killed 4 people in the southern suburbs of Beirut on Sunday. Bangladesh is facing a growing measles outbreak, with health authorities reporting 94 suspected deaths.
And most of them happen to be children over the past 19 days. And nearly 5,800 suspected cases have been recorded across the country, indicating the situation may be far more serious than initially believed. Officials say only 9 of those deaths have been laboratory confirmed as measles so far. However, the rapid rise in infections, particularly since March, has raised significant public health concerns.
Well, in response, the government is launching emergency vaccination drives in the hardest hit areas as authorities race to contain the spread of the highly infectious disease. Health experts link the surge largely to gaps in immunization coverage. Many of the reported deaths involve unvaccinated children, with disruptions to routine vaccination programs, delays in nationwide campaigns, and vaccine supply constraints cited as key factors.
Now, measles is one of the world's most contagious disease, spread by contact with infected nasal or throat secretions or breathing the air that was breathed by someone with measles. Now, this virus remains active and contagious in the air or on infected surfaces for about 2 hours. And for this reason, it is very infectious. One person infected by measles can generate up to 18 secondary infections.
Measles can lead to severe complications, including pneumonia, diarrhea, and brain inflammation. Hospital data shows thousands of patients have required admission since mid-March, putting additional pressure on the healthcare system. Authorities acknowledge that vaccination efforts have faced setbacks over the past 2 years due to logistical challenges, funding issues, and interruptions in public health services. Health officials say that the emergency campaign will initially run for 2 weeks, with the possibility of extension depending on the situation.
Now, India's counter-terrorism operations have intensified over the past 3 days, with coordinated action by multiple agencies leading to key arrests.
And the disruption of major terror plots is taking place at this point. On Sunday, in a joint operation based on intelligence inputs, the Delhi Police Special Cell and Maharashtra's Anti-Terrorism Squad conducted raids in Mumbai. During the operation, 2 key suspects were identified, while a total of 3 individuals were taken into custody.
Now, all the 3 of them are currently being interrogated. Now, preliminary investigations indicate that the suspects are linked to the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror organization, and they were allegedly planning large-scale bomb attacks in Delhi and Mumbai using improvised explosive devices concealed in toy cars.
On the 4th of April, Indian agencies had made another major breakthrough in a joint operation. The Delhi Police Special Cell's Counter-intelligence Unit, along with the Uttar Pradesh Anti-Terrorism Squad, arrested a suspected ISIS operative from UP's Kushinagar.
The accused, identified as Rizwan Ahmed, is believed to have been associated with ISIS since 2015 and was actively handling recruitment operations for the terror group in India. Authorities recovered bomb-making materials, incriminating documents, and extremist literature during the operation. Investigators have also linked him to earlier terror-related activities, including involvement inside Mumbai's Arthur Road jail in 2015. He had previously been incarcerated.
On the 3rd of April, a major plot was foiled in Uttar Pradesh. The UP Anti-Terrorism Squad busted a suspected terror module with alleged links to Pakistan-based handlers, preventing a planned attack targeting railway infrastructure near Lucknow. 4 individuals were arrested in connection with the case and have been remanded to UP ATS custody for 5 days, and further investigation is underway. Global markets may appear stable on the surface, but beneath that calm, signs of a deeper strain are rapidly building.
Now, from oil and gas to fertilizers and logistics, multiple critical supply chains are coming under simultaneous pressure. Coming days could prove decisive as markets edge closer to a potential inflection point. There is a report for more details. Take a look. Global markets are entering a more fragile phase, moving beyond isolated disruption into early-stage system strain. On the surface, key indicators still suggest a functioning system. Oil prices remain elevated but stable, LNG markets are tightening within a range, and policymakers continue to signal control. But beneath this, the confidence in supply reliability is eroding. Physical flows have not fully recovered, and even where commodities are moving, they are increasingly viewed as uncertain. This distinction is critical. Markets are beginning to shift from optimizing trades to securing access. At the same time, a widening gap is emerging between paper markets and physical reality. Benchmarks continue to reflect sentiment and liquidity, while actual cargo availability is tightening. This divergence is often an early signal of deeper dislocation ahead. The current stress is not limited to energy alone. 5 interconnected chains: oil and gas, naphtha, fertilizer, helium, and logistics are now moving in tandem, amplifying systematic risk. Energy remains the entry point, with supply uncertainty feeding directly into downstream sectors. Naphtha markets are showing early signs of strain, with petrochemical margins compressing and operating rates adjusting. Fertilizer risks are building more quietly as gas-linked production economics weaken. This sets the stage for potential food inflation in the months ahead. Helium, a critical input for healthcare and advanced manufacturing, is also tightening due to disruption in gas processing. Meanwhile, logistics has emerged as a central constraint. Rising war risk premiums, behavioral shifts among ship owners, and reduced effective capacity are limiting deliverability. The result is a system losing flexibility. This shift is already reshaping global dynamics. Europe remains highly exposed due to its dependence on LNG and sensitivity to industrial inputs, while Asia is moving aggressively to secure supply. This raises the risk of demand destruction in emerging markets. North Africa, meanwhile, is being drawn into the stress from both the supply and demand sides. Policy responses, however, remain focused on traditional tools such as price management and strategic reserves. These measures may provide short-term relief for oil, but they do little to address broader constraints. The next 2 days and weeks will be critical as buffers erode markets' risk, shifting from a price-driven system to one defined by access. In such a scenario, availability and not cost will determine outcomes. Mrs. Bureau Report, WION World is One. Now, elderly care is entering a high-tech era as populations age. Care systems around the world are undergoing pressure.
Now, robots are being introduced as a support layer, working alongside human caregivers. They can help with daily tasks, lead exercises, and even provide companionship. Supporters say that the technology could help address staff shortages while improving quality of care. Take a look at this smart care facility in Beijing, where dozens of robots are already assisting the elderly.
It's tucked inside the Ronghua community in Beijing's southeastern Yizhuang district, an 1,100 square meter facility that looks, at first glance, like any other neighborhood senior center. But step inside, and the staff here aren't all human. More than 40 types of smart robots work alongside, human caregivers offering massage treatments, leading rehabilitation exercises, even brewing a cup of hot tea. Seniors can challenge a robot to a board game or join in on group activities led by the machines.
The Elderly Care Station offers a wide range of activities covering almost everything: games, dancing, singing, and much more.
Officials expect more than 300 visits a day, and the robots here aren't just novelties, they're built to adapt.
From turning seniors in bed to helping with medication, bringing water, assisting with meals, and aiding with bathing, these are all tasks that robots can handle. This is an area we should pursue going forward, whether through rental models or by making such devices affordable to those who need them for elderly care.
Each interaction generates data feeding back into the system so the robots can be fine-tuned to better meet the needs of the people they serve. The station is part of a broader push by Beijing to expand smart elderly care across the city.
These robots are far from being just laboratory research products. They need to enter millions of homes and be refined through applications. By serving the elderly here and gathering their feedback, along with input from community residents, we can in turn drive the development of the entire robotics industry.
It's a pilot project that officials hope will become a model as China grapples with one of the fastest aging populations in the world.
Over to cricket updates. Defending champions Royal Challengers Bengaluru defeated the Super Kings by 43 runs to secure their second win of the 2026 IPL season.
And meanwhile, the five-time champions slumped to their third consecutive defeat. Bengaluru got off to a strong start at the start, of course, M. Chinnaswamy Stadium after being put into bat first. Virat Kohli scored a quick 28 off 18 balls, setting the tone, and the rest of the batting lineup maintained the momentum before accelerating further. His opening partner, Phil Salt, contributed 46, while Devdutt Padikkal brought up a well-made 50. Captain Rajat Patidar and Tim David then took charge. They put together a blistering 99-run partnership in just 36 balls. David was particularly destructive, smashing Jamie Overton for 4 sixes and a 4 in a 30-run 19th over. Bengaluru hammered 97 runs in the final 5 overs. Tim David finished unbeaten on 70 off just 25 balls, which included 8 sixes, while Patidar remained not out on 48.
RCB ended with 250 for 3 in 20 overs. It was their third highest total in IPL history and the highest ever against Chennai. In reply, Chennai lost 3 early wickets, including skipper Ruturaj Gaikwad for 7. They were reduced to 33 for 3 and immediately fell behind the chase. Sarfaraz Khan provided some resistance with a 25-ball 50, while Prashant Veer scored 43 and Jamie Overton added 37. However, these efforts only brought brief momentum in an otherwise disappointing performance. Bengaluru eventually bowled Chennai out for 207 in 19.4 overs, handing the five-time IPL champions their third consecutive defeat. Bhuvneshwar Kumar led the bowling attack for Bengaluru with 3 wickets, while Jacob Duffy, Abhinandan Singh, Krunal Pandya picked up 2 wickets each.
Now, Bollywood loves a comeback, but rarely does it witness a moment quite like this.
But for years, Ranveer Singh has been an enigma that the industry and his viewers couldn't quite figure out whether to celebrate or to mock. But he was relentlessly trolled for his unapologetic nature, his avant-garde fashion choices, and a hyper-energetic flamboyant persona that many mistook for silly behavior, not appropriate for a public figure of his stature and perhaps even his age. While the audience laughed at the memes, the industry took notes, and this relentless scrutiny had real-world consequences. Behind closed doors, whispers of his perceived unpredictability led to films getting shelved. Highly anticipated projects were unceremoniously called off.
Now, the actor who had given Indian cinema some of its most memorable performances was suddenly being reduced to a caricature. And these professional setbacks were soon compounded by highly public personal trials. During a widely discussed appearance on a talk show, his wife, Deepika Padukone, candidly admitted that she was seeing other people while initially being in a committed relationship with him.
Well, as the internet exploded with commentary, what caught everyone's attention was Ranveer Singh himself. The man, famous for his boundless, restless energy, maintained a rock-solid calm composure. He absorbed the viral moment with a quiet dignity, and that baffled his loudest critics. Now, at a time when Bollywood is riding a massive wave of testosterone-fueled action thrillers, with every male A-lister signing up a movie with high-octane, gory action sequences, Ranveer Singh kept the trend in mind but remembered to keep acting as his top priority. Dhurandhar, of course, became his comeback moment. It delivers the promised high-stakes spectacle, but it is anchored entirely by his absolute mastery of the craft.
Unlike the stoic one-note action heroes currently dominating the box office, Ranveer Singh brings a range of emotions to the film. We see him wearing several faces, shifting seamlessly between expressions and delivering exactly what is expected from an actor. A performance that sublimates from the screen and stays with the audience. And ultimately, this film hasn't just established Ranveer Singh, it has served as the ultimate revenge story of a man who finally decided to let his work do the shouting. After years of being judged for his clothes, his flamboyant energy, his relationships, and his failures, Ranveer Singh took all that noise, channeled it into a camera lens, and delivered a cinematic masterclass. The flamboyant boy who was laughed at has officially left the building. In his place stands a true Dhurandhar of Bollywood, and nobody is laughing anymore. And with that, we call a wrap to World DNA for today. News and updates will follow on the other side. Keep watching WION World is One.
Five states, one powerful voice. From Tamil Nadu to West Bengal. From Kerala to Assam. Every vote shapes the future. Get the election pulse only on WION. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Beyond the noise and rhetoric, no election, no ballot issue too small. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics, more than just headlines. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION. World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who